Chapter 12. The Illusion of Race. Every human being is a unique individual. We each have different thoughts, different inspirations, different hair, eye, and skin color. These differences should all be embraced, as it shows that everyone is bringing a unique and enlightening perspective to the table for humanity. Sadly, those who seek to control us use these differences to put us against each other and take the heat off themselves. Throughout the history of imperialism, our rulers have conditioned us to be frightened and hostile towards those who are not under their rule. That is because our rulers either wish to enslave these other people or take their land and resources, or both. In order to carry out war and conquest, it was necessary for rulers to infect their subjects with blind nationalistic ideologies. People were trained from birth to think of their nationality as being superior to all others. Citizens were taught that people who lie outside the domain of their ruler were subhuman. Their lives were said to be less valuable than those who were inside the kingdom. Imposing this kind of twisted worldview made it possible for kings and emperors to use their citizens as mercenaries and gatekeepers. This is how racism was invented, as a mental justification for conquest and the brutality of the ruling class. By using fear tactics and generalizations, those in power have managed to turn everyone in the world against one another so they can play war games amongst themselves, using us as the pieces. Some of the darkest moments in human history were the result of mob frenzies fueled by racist ideologies. The Crusades, the German Holocaust, the Native American Holocaust, the African Holocaust, and various forms of slavery have all been carried out under the racist visions of various ruling class psychopaths. Each time, it has been a different control freak from a different corner of the earth with the same list of excuses and a similar set of dehumanizing epitaphs. This is happening in any country with the imperialistic, dominating system of government, just as it has for centuries. Although the mass majority of people are more conscious now and are opposed to racism, the elite still project a very racist message through the media and through their social policies. This influence has a very serious impact on the acceptance of the current occupation in the Middle East and the corporate rape and pillaging of the Third World. Humanity as a whole wants to move past this barbaric self-destruction, but the aristocracy and their dominant political systems create a social environment where certain groups are at a disadvantage due to ethnicity. The establishment is constantly promoting racism and creating social injustice under the radar, regardless of what they say in the public arena. This has been the policy of the ruling class for centuries and is still very much alive today, just in a more subtle, subliminal form. Unfortunately, racism is alive and well today in the form of ethnocentrism and nationalism. Both of these words mean the same thing, but ethnocentrism would be a more realistic description that carries a more negative stigma. The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines ethnocentrism as the belief in the inherent superiority of one's own ethnic group or culture, and defines nationalism as loyalty and devotion to a nation, especially a sense of national consciousness exalting one nation above all others and placing primary emphasis on promotion of its own culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations and supranational groups. Both of these definitions describe a dressed-up form of racism. These ideologies are an attempt to justify or rationalize aggression against another group of people. These are cultural assumptions which are rooted in falsities and continue due to lack of understanding. Regardless of the color of our skin, the language we speak, or the cultural ideologies we subscribe to, we are all part of the same human family. In every country throughout the ages, we have been deceived by our oppressors. People of all nationalities struggle and suffer at the hands of conniving sophists who tell us that other oppressed people in some faraway land are the reason for our unhappiness. In reality, the oppressed people of all nations have more in common with each other than they do with the people in charge of the governments. Unfortunately, we have all been lied to and conditioned to be suspicious of our brothers and sisters. Our real enemies are the snakes that promote subversive, racist political systems and put the human organism on a path to self-destruction.